Start recording. Okay, so if you're just joining us, we are on page 85, question number 12, and, oh, that's not good. Do you guys know what it's called? Do you know how when you put water in a container, the water makes a little scoop? Are you familiar with that? Okay, if you're not familiar with it, you will get to see it today because we're going to use a burette and you will see it. The water does not go straight across. The water makes a scoop. And that's because actually the water, it has positive ends and negative ends, and the glass actually also has little positive and negative charges on it. So it actually sort of crawls up the inside of the glass, okay, on the sides. I don't know why I wrote scoops. It just makes one scoop, not several scoops. So it makes a scoop. Anyone know what we call that scoop? That scoop is called the meniscus. And this one is also going to be required for your test. So you are going to do what? Add it to your vocab list. So there's 2 new words for you. Okay, so the meniscus. When you read a device that has water in it, that has a meniscus, always read at the bottom of the meniscus. So what that means is you're going to read at the bottom of the scoop. So this is where you're going to do the reading. Okay? So now that we have done all that, we can go back to our picture and say that we are right on the 21.7 line. Yes? Okay, so here's 21.6. Here's 21.7. We're right, our scoop is right on that 21.7 line. So if we were to record this, I'd like you to check with your partner. Do you think we should write 21.7, 21.70, or 21.700? Have a think about that for a minute. Make sure you've checked in with your partner, see if they agree with you. Okay, we're going to call this option A. We're going to call this option B. We're going to call this one option C. And we are going to vote on this. The letter A looks like this. Fingers on your palm, thumb by the side. Okay, fingers on palm, thumb by the side. That's an A. Option B, you're going to put your palm up and your thumb on your palm. That's a B. And then finally, C is pretty easy. We just make a C. Which one do we like? Okay, most people have got B. It is indeed B, because are we uncertain about that 7 or are we sure about it? Sure. We're sure about the 7. That means our uncertain digit is the 0. That is our estimated digit there. So if we were to record this as a measurement, sorry, I'm kind of running out of room, so I'm going to write it over near number 13. We would write 21.70, and that would get you 1 out of your 3 marks. What are your other marks for? Units, so we would need to put milliliters. And what else do we need? We need what we are measuring. So if you don't know what the liquid is, you can just assume it's water, or you can just call it a liquid. So you can say the volume of the liquid. We will often make a subscript out of whatever we're measuring, okay? Or you could say volume of liquid, but that just takes up a bit more space, equals 21.70 milliliters. Did that clear up everything? Good. It also gave me a chance to talk about a meniscus and a burette, so that made me happy. Okay. Now let's say you're one of those people who wants to do the enriched part of this. You could say 21.70 milliliters, and you could add on, you could say 21.70 plus or minus how much? 0.01, and then you would have to have the milliliters at the end, and I'm kind of running out of space there. Okay, but that would be enriched if you want to add in that uncertainty in your measurements. Okay. Now back to page 83, because I wanted to take a quick look at doing a calculation for a calculation. So what is this measuring device called? Tell your partner. Starts with B. Burette. Okay, burette. These measuring devices are not used to measure how much liquid is contained in the device. Okay, there is a valve down here. This valve has an unfortunate name. I'm sorry, that little valve, it's actually called a stopcock. I'm sorry, that's what it's called. Okay? I think it's from the same root of the word because things drip out of it. Okay, so there you go. So that little valve at the bottom, what we would do is we would take our measurement, we would take our first measurement, and the liquid would be higher, and then we will turn on the valve and liquid will drip out and the water level will get lower. Okay, so we start high and we finish low. And what that means is that if we have 0 up here and 50 milliliters down here, we're going to start with a small number and finish with a larger number. Okay, so we start with a small number. We start small. And we finish with a large number. So in this particular case, here is our initial volume. So we are going to write VI. What does the I stand for? Initial. And we're going to write VI is equal to, and I would like you to tell your partner what our measurement should say. I'm going to give you 4 choices. Oh, I'm going to give you 5 choices. Okay, so do we remember A? A is with our fingers on our palm and the thumb on the side. B is palm facing up and your thumb on the palm. C is like the letter C. Okay, your whole hand makes it. And then D, what you're going to do is you're going to point your finger up and you're going to make a circle with the rest of your fingers. Okay, that's a D. And then finally, E, you curl your fingers over, but not like all the way, just like one joint. And then you put your thumb below. Yes, yes, okay, you're putting up your hand. So we have E, D, you're pointing your finger up. And then we have C. And then we have B. And then we have A. Okay, I see a C. I see a B. I see an E. I see a B. Okay, and if you're having trouble, that's okay. Don't worry, you'll come along with it in a minute, right? We'll practice these as we go along. So I've seen lots of different ones. I did not see any A's. Can we eliminate A? Okay. I saw some B's. I saw some C's. I didn't see any D's. So I think we can eliminate D because it's not below the 2, right? Okay, so we can eliminate that one. But I did see B, C, and E. 2 of those are correct. Which 2 are correct? Rajan? B, sorry, which ones? D and E. Can you make the symbol for me? I'm not hearing. C and E. Yes, thank you. I'm kind of deaf up here. All right, so we have C and E because there is uncertainty in that last digit, right? We are somewhere. Sorry, my screen is not behaving well. There we go. So this would be 2. This here would be 1.9. And this here would be 2.1. So we are somewhere between 1.9 and 2.0. Yes? And so if I say this is just above, I could say that it's 1.99. But if I decide that it's right on the line, which it could be, you know, the picture wasn't as beautiful as it is, we could say it's 2.00. We're not unsure about that 0. We know that this first 0 is certain. What I really need to do is turn the computer on and off again, but that's not going to happen because we don't have time for that right now. Maybe we have to. Or maybe we'll just go over here. Okay, so we have VI is equal to, I'm going to say 2.00 because it's going to make my math easier, milliliters. Okay? View, zoom out, zoom out, zoom out, over. Okay. All right, we're going to do the same thing for our final volume. Our final volume And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's the same thing, just with an 8 instead of a 2. So I'm going to say 8.00 milliliters. Now, in order to do the subtraction, you must write what you're solving for. So you could say volume delivered because the burette has delivered that much. You could also, if you prefer, you could say the volume dripped out. Okay, if you find the word delivered is just a little bit too weird and you're like, I know that it dripped out and you can remember that better, that's fine. So volume delivered or volume dripped out. What do we have to do with our final volume and our initial volume in order to get the volume dripped out? We have to subtract them. Which one goes first? The big one, yes. So we take the final volume minus the, oh, I'm writing that in the wrong place, sorry. We're going to take our final volume minus the initial volume. You must write this as well. Okay, so if you're looking for where you're getting your marks, oh, you're getting a mark for writing volume delivered. Where are you getting a mark? You're getting a mark for VF minus VI. And now you're going to plug in the values that you got already. You're going to say 8.00. And you have to include the milliliters, yes? And then you're going to say subtracting 2.00 milliliters. And then finally, you will get your answer, 6.00 milliliters. And just to ask you a question here, would it be okay to say 6 milliliters? No, because we have our uncertain digit is in the hundredths position, so our uncertain digit should stay in the hundredths position. Okay, so you will get a mark for having the correct answer. You'll get a mark for having the milliliters. You'll get a mark for having the units. And you'll get a mark for plugging these in correctly. Okay? If you have half of them, you'll get half. So this question will be worth a lot of marks on this particular quiz because I want you to make sure that you have every single little thing. Okay? And that is summarized for you here. You're going to write the formula. You have to have both sides, what you're solving for. And then over here, you'll have the equation. And then you plug in the values with the units. And then you calculate your final answer with the units. And you're going to keep the uncertain digit where it is. So this is a standard way of communicating your work. If you go off to university, you do this in your lab, your TA who is marking your lab will say, whoa, that was nice. I didn't have to try and figure out what you were talking about. All right? And once you get in the habit of doing it, it doesn't actually take much more time than just jotting down the numbers. Okay? So that's it. Any questions on any of that? Shall we try actually doing a measurement like that with a real burette? Let's do it. So what you're going to do is, for each group of 2 or 3, how many groups do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15. We have 15. That's awesome. The stands are down here. Okay, everyone's eyes over here. The stands are down here. The burette clamps are here. And the burettes are here. I'm just going to do a very quick demo of how to set this up. Because people always want to do the following. People always want to do this. No. Okay? We want this to be centered. There's a little screw, and you're going to actually put this in here. If it's not big enough to fit, you're going to unscrew it until it is big enough, and then you will tighten the screw. So the burette clamp is centered on the stand. Okay? Second thing you're going to do is you're going to get the burette, and now I'll flip this around so you can see it. Now you pinch together these, and that will allow you to slot this in like that. Okay? Next thing you're going to do is fill it up with some water. What will you need in order to fill it up with water? You will need a beaker so you can put water in it. Okay. And you're going to need, in order to get it in here without spilling it all over, although it is possible to do it without it, it is very helpful if you have a funnel. All right, and I'm going to stand up on my step stool so you can actually see me because I'm too short. All right, now, if you happen to be this tall naturally, you can just put this here and then start pouring away. But if you're like me and you are not tall and you're down here, this is a recipe for making a spill. Are you going to climb on your chair? No. Are you going to climb on your table? No. Are you going to climb on the little rail of your chair? No. What you're going to do is you're going to bring the burette down to you. Oh, look at that. Now it's where I can reach it. Isn't that fantastic? You need to make sure that the stopcock is closed. Otherwise, if you pour the liquid in, it will just run out the bottom. Closed is horizontal. That is closed. Closed is horizontal. Which direction is closed? Jerome. Which direction is closed? No. Horizontal. Horizontal is closed. Don't get off your phone. I'm giving you instructions here, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do now is I can pour it in. If the water gets stuck and it just sits there and it does not drip down, what that means is that there has been a seal formed here, and you just need to lift it up a little bit to break that seal, and the water will go down, okay? Another thing to watch out for. This funnel holds a lot more than you might think. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lift it up a little bit with these two fingers so that I don't ever get that seal, but that's a little sophisticated, but if you want to, you can. Watch what happens if I fill it too quickly. Oh, I lucked out. Oh, normally when I do that, it just like goes all over. And now I've got water all over my hand. Now, what if that had been an acid instead of water? I would be unhappy. Yes, that would not be fun. So make sure that you just fill it up a little bit at a time. You want your eventual water level to be somewhere either at or below the zero. Does it matter if it's at zero to start? If we're measuring an initial volume and a final volume, does it have to start at zero? No. So you can start it anywhere under zero. The reason you don't want it above zero is because there's no markings up here. What's the word we use for these little markings on here? Graduation. So there's little graduations on here. So I'm going to get rid of that water at the top, and I'm going to do that by opening the stopcock. So you turn it now vertical, and it comes out the bottom. What should I have underneath here if I wasn't doing it over a sink? A beaker, because otherwise it will make a mess. Okay? Now I'm over a sink, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to close that. And now what you're going to do is you're going to line your eye, has to be in line with the meniscus. Because you don't want to look up at the meniscus, it will give you an inaccurate reading. There's this thing called parallax. We could go into it. It just means that if you're looking at things at an angle, they aren't like quite where they should be. Okay, so make sure your eye is at a level. Now, if you are tall, your eye might be level. Is my eye level? No, so I'm going to bring it down to me. Okay? If you want to get fancy, this is optional, but if you want to be like the big kids at university, this is a really fancy device. It's a white card with a black mark on it. It is called a burette reading card. Okay? You can make one yourself, no problem. And what we do is we put it in behind the burette. Okay? Now I'm just going to draw a quick picture of where it should go. Because most people think that the black mark should go here, like right behind the meniscus, but it doesn't. What we want is we want our card. Here's our card. And we want the black line to go here. And the reason we want it there is because the bottom of the meniscus will actually reflect the black and make that little meniscus stand out. It makes it pop. Otherwise, it kind of looks like, you know, water's clear and colorless, glass is clear and colorless. It's a little bit hard to see. If you put it here, and my advice would be, probably don't have it touching the burette. Probably have it just a little bit back. And sometimes it's hard to get it to stay stable a little bit back. So I will either put a finger or a thumb in between. Do you see I've got my finger here? And I put it there. So it's in between the burette. It just holds it a little bit out, but it keeps it stable. All right? And if you're like, wow, I don't remember any of that, please come over and show me, Ms. Spence. I would be thrilled to do so. Okay? So as a group, you want 1, 2, 3, 4 things. I'll put these on the little table here. Okay? And if anyone wants this one, oh, and when you go to empty these out, the fastest way to empty it is to put it over the sink and turn it upside down, and then open the stopcock. It'll let it flow out faster. Okay? Give it a shake. And then when you're done, you can just leave that open. It will dry and put it away. Okay? Now your job as a group is to record, actually no, each of you individually, because I want to make sure each of you can do it. Okay? Your job is to put on your piece of paper, any piece of paper, feel free to use the free blank paper, which is hiding in a cupboard, but I'll put out in just a second. You're going to put your name on it. You are going to measure an initial volume. You are going to record the final volume. And you are going to calculate the volume dripped out. All right, and then you're going to hand it in. I will have it back to you tomorrow before the quiz, so you'll get feedback. Okay, so if you've missed something or did it wrong or whatever, Okay? And you should never leave last thing, you should never leave the funnel in there because it can drip and cause the volume to change. You get to pick your initial and final volume. I don't care what they are, right? You can choose whatever you want. Okay? Yes?
Will you record the same initial stuff?
Yeah, so you'll be recording it, but I want to see you have written it so that you have that experience of doing it. Yes? Okay. So you can work in a group of 2 or in a group of 3. If anyone does really, really, really want to work on their own, you may do so, but only if there are enough burettes. If we run out, then you need to join another person or 2. Okay, this one is available if anyone wants that one. There we go. Oh, look at that, snag it. Oh, yeah, I should do that. There we go. Perfect. Just right there.
You have fun.
Funnels are on the top shelves just over there by the sink.